The Ouija board, also known as the spirit or talking board, is a form of an ancient technique of divination defined by Merriam-Webster. Divination is 1. The art or practice that seeks to foresee or foretell future events or discern hidden knowledge, usually by interpretation of omens or by the aid of supernatural powers. And also 2. Unusual insight or intuitive perception. This strange curiosity was born in the late 19th century during a time of spiritual rebirth in the United States, essentially the next evolution of automatic writing. One uses a device called a planchette to reportedly make contact with energies from somewhere beyond. Within the framework of pop culture, the Ouija has become somewhat of a superstar, spawning books, movies, myths, and a steady revenue for those seeking to earn capital off this strange phenomena. According to mainstream views, there are essentially 2 top ideologies behind the Ouija board. Either it's spirits, demons, or some unknown energy that is able to manipulate the practitioners to communicate ethereal knowledge from beyond the grave, or we are witnessing charlatans, fakers, attention seekers, and all around nefarious people taking advantage of the fact this phenomena cannot be proved by science yet. But there is a third avenue of discussion that the mainstream passes over for a possible explanation to this paranormal party trick. As to why this third course of exploration of how the Ouija board works is not more questioned and studied by paranormal researchers is beyond me. This third explanation is termed the Ideomotor effect, the same phenomena that makes us breathe, blink, pump blood, and other such bodily functions that we perform every day, paying little attention to them. In theory, the Ouija may be a way to access the subconscious level of our brains, allowing us to open a bridge of communication between our upper and lower self. The Ouija and other talking boards have only been in mainstream Western pop culture for a bit over 100 years, while science has studied the Ideomotor effect for well over 150 years and still barely understands it. While the actual idea of a talking board being used as a form of divination most likely goes back hundreds if not thousands of years, the Ouija board itself was not patented until 1890, and the world-famous William Fold board started production in 1901. And since that time, this mysterious board has been ingrained into the supernatural mythos of modern-day cultures worldwide. How does the board work? Spiritual. Utilizing multiple people or simply by oneself. The thought is a supernatural power is either able to move the planchette or through the user themselves, giving them impulses for directions that the planchette should move. Hoaxers is most likely the explanation for most Ouija board videos in the world today, meant as a hoax or just plain old-fashioned narcissistic attention seekers taking advantage of good-hearted folk. Ideomotor. Extremely similar to the spiritual explanation, practitioners report the sense of impulses, directions for which they then move the planchette. This method takes practice and focus, much akin to meditation. From my own practice, your inner self has to learn the layout of the board when one first begins. It is not uncommon to spell out nonsensical gibberish. And with practice, one will begin to spell out full, recognizable words. It is thought through this route, one can attempt to communicate with your subconscious, which is essentially another individual living deep within each of our own consciousnesses. How I use the board. In the beginning, it takes patience. One has to become comfortable with the alphanumeric layout. This can be accomplished by intentionally spelling out words. Anything works. Your grocery list, movies you love, anything and everything, just to make the layout burnt into your unconscious. The setting for one to practice really comes down to personal preference and ease of location for a place of solitude. I feel it is best to practice this in a quiet place that you will not be interrupted in. Try to sit in an upright and straight as possible manner. Bring your hands in front of you like holding a bowl with two hands. Now turn your hands towards your wrists. This is roughly the form that has been developed for the technique. Let your fingers dangle freely, as well as your entire hand from your wrist down, forming basically a triangle with both of your thumbs and pointer fingers gently touching. Gently place your fingers on top of the planchette. Apply just enough pressure to barely move the planchette. A good practice for this is to make small circles in any direction, giving you a good feel for how much little pressure is needed for one to move it. Once you feel comfortable with how the planchette moves, begin purposely spelling out any words you would like. Again, this is done so your unconscious becomes familiar with the layout of the letters and the numbers. With time, one may start to get impulses for directions to move the planchette, as well as having random words pop into your head as you get more practice. The talking board is extremely fascinating, and I far from know anything, and in no way am I an expert, just an experimenter of weird oddities. There are many superstitions and legends tied into this mysterious board. I recommend following your gut and intuition when practicing any ancient form of divination, be it reading tea leaves, using a pendulum or dowsing rods, or even the fabled Ouija board.